Assalamu alaikum. Something I've learned from my study and practice of Zen, something I believe to be universally true, is that our outer environment shapes our inner environment. The state of the space we live in influences the state of the heart and mind that inhabit it. That's why a Zen monastery is kept in such immaculate order. Every object has its exact place. Every surface is kept clean, every corner tended with care. Much time is devoted to sweeping, dusting, arranging, and maintaining this order, not out of obsession, but out of understanding. The monks know that the outer and inner worlds mirror one another. They see that disorder in one is echoed by disorder in the other. They also know that harmony moves in both directions. When the mind is scattered, the outer world tends to reflect that confusion. But when one begins to bring order to the physical world, clearing a table, tidying a room, cleaning the floor, something within begins to clear as well. I once heard a Buddhist teacher advise a student who was feeling depressed to start by cleaning their room. Those who tried it noticed a quiet yet real improvement in their state of mind. A cluttered environment clouds perception, just as a cluttered mind clouds insight. This is why Zen aesthetic are so simple and spare. Minimalism is not just about beauty, it's about clarity. By removing excess, one's perception sharpens and the heart grows still. Outer simplicity supports inner stillness. There is also a spiritual dimension in the act of cleaning itself. In Zen practice, one is encouraged to be wholly present with the task, to let sweeping be only sweeping, washing be only washing. Some teachers call this focusing out, turning attention away from the self and toward the living moment as it unfolds through action. When you do this, mental chatter subsides and the senses awaken. You become grounded again in the reality of the present. Even depression, which often feeds on overthinking, can be gently relieved by such embodied attention. The untrained mind is often trapped in a loop of imagination and delusion, losing contact, sometimes entirely, sometimes partially, with reality. By coming back into your senses, by focusing outward into the world before you, you step out of that fog of imagination and re-enter the real. It is one of the simplest and most effective ways to come out of your mind and return to life as it truly is. As Muslims, we can recognize something deeply familiar in this understanding. We know that human beings have been entrusted with the care of creation. The Quran reminds us that we are khulafā al-arḍ, stewards upon the earth. It is part of our divine task to tend to creation, to keep it in order, to bring harmony out of chaos. For Allah loves order, balance, and beauty. Cleanliness, too, holds a sacred place in Islam. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Cleanliness is half of faith." This is why we perform wudu 5 times a day, to purify ourselves regularly, to maintain the harmony between the outer and the inner. Just as a monk sweeps the monastery floor each morning, the believer renews his purity again and again throughout the day. Our daily rhythm of prayer also reflects this divine order. By following the sacred times, dawn, noon, afternoon, sunset, and night, we tune ourselves to the cosmic rhythm Allah has set in creation. The turning of the sun, the movement of the day, the alternation of light and darkness, all are expressions of divine harmony. At the same time, we must remember that the nafs al-amara, the commanding self, tends toward chaos. The ego is by nature lazy. It avoids discipline and resists effort. It is like a spoiled child who wants pleasure without work, candy without nourishment, reward without labor. It seeks instant gratification and avoids responsibility. Our modern world, with its omnipresent technology, feeds this laziness. Everything is becoming easier and easier to do, requiring less and less effort from us. We no longer have to move much, wait much, or struggle much. But this comfort comes at a cost. it makes us increasingly intolerant to the slightest discomfort. Life was much harder for our ancestors, yet that very difficulty kept them sharp, alive, and resilient. Ease without effort dulls the soul, while struggle refines it. And because this technological world keeps lowering our tolerance for effort, it also makes us averse to spiritual effort. When even small inconveniences feel unbearable, the idea of inner struggle, patience, or discipline begins to seem foreign, even oppressive. The result is that many avoid the very practices that would bring them peace, prayer, fasting, meditation, service, because they require endurance and sincerity of effort. In this way, the modern pursuit of comfort becomes one of the great obstacles to spiritual growth. When you commit yourself to maintaining order in your life, to keep your space clean, to following a regular schedule, you are engaging in a spiritual struggle. Each act of discipline weakens the hold of the ego and strengthens the will of the spirit to gain freedom from the tyranny of the lower self. By contrast, when you follow the laziness of the ego, you are actually bringing misery upon yourself. As the Quran says, it is not Allah who has wronged them, but they wrong themselves. To indulge the whims of the immature self is one of the ways we wrong our own souls. It leads to stagnation, heaviness, and inner confusion. But when you bring discipline into your life, you act like a wise and loving parent guiding a child. You do not indulge every desire, because you know that structure and effort are what lead to real happiness and growth. Discipline, in that sense, is mercy. It protects you from your lower self. To oppose the laziness of the ego, to struggle with it when it resists, is also a profound teaching in humility. We often overestimate our spiritual maturity and the strength of our will. But when faced with simple, concrete effort, we meet the truth of our condition. The struggle reveals our actual level, our true degree of freedom. It humbles us, reminding us that real transformation does not happen in imagination, but in action. We all carry an idealized image of who we think we are, but physical work does not lie. It shows us where we truly stand. And this humbling clarity is essential for the seeker of truth. Paradoxically, what feels like effort at first becomes a source of energy, because chaos is a great thief of vitality. Disorder drains us, while order renews us. That is one reason why tidying and organizing can lift the weight of depression and bring clarity to the mind. To take care of your environment by keeping it clean and in order is also an act of shukr, of gratitude toward your Creator. He gave you all that you need. He created this beautiful world for you. To take care of it, to tend to it properly, is to honor His generosity and to recognize the value of what you have been given. It is like the good child who receives a precious gift from parents who have little but give out of love. The child treasures it, knowing the sacrifice behind it. He handles it with care. The spoiled child, surrounded by abundance, throws his toys to the ground, breaks them, and feels no gratitude. And though he has much, he is unhappy. The poorer child with little is joyful because he knows how to appreciate what he has. The secret is not in how much we possess, but in the depth of our appreciation. Gratitude reveals richness where others see lack. To care for your material possessions, to keep your home clean and in order, is to express thankfulness to Al-Karim, the most generous. It is to say through your actions, I see the value of what you have given me, and I honor it. To live with ihsān, to do everything with excellence and presence, is to participate consciously in this harmony. But aiming for excellence is not the same as aiming for perfection. We must remember that perfection is not of this world, and chasing it is another trap of the ego, one that only leads to discouragement and loss of energy. Do your best. The result is not the aim. What matters most is the intention, and the quality of presence you bring into the action. So never underestimate the power of cleaning up your living space. I highly encourage you to integrate this into your daily routine and to make it a form of worship, an ʿibāda in itself. Do it mindfully, with presence, devotion, and gratitude. When you bring awareness and love into such simple acts, the ordinary becomes sacred, and even the smallest gesture begins to reflect the harmony of the divine. And if you do it with excellence, if you try to do it with ihsān, it will transform your life. Assalamu alaikum.